All right, now we're into the gaming segment of the show, and today I've got a very special title for you. And with the rise of analog gaming and board games and card games, it's sort of taking over the real world and the digital world. With the success of Hearthstone, we're starting to see more analog games on the digital platform. So today I'm bringing you Armello. Armello, it's a weird name. Sounds kind of sweet, and the game really is very sweet and charming, but it's got a dark side to it because it's a board game set in a fantasy setting, and the world that you're playing in is that there's a king and 4 factions, and the king is slowly dying from a disease called the rot. And it's your job to basically your job to become the new ruler of Armello. Now the game is very, very interesting, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Just look at the visuals. So let's jump in, and I'm going to show you how it actually plays. So, what's the gameplay like in Armello? Well, it's a lot like those tabletop RPG board games that you can play at those analog gaming shops. So it's very, very interesting, first of all, because of its setting. It's got this very cute aesthetic, and everything's bright and colorful, and it looks very charming. And you play these anthropomorphic animals, and there's 8 characters to choose from right now, and they're releasing more characters as we go along. And each character has their own sort of personality. So you get to pick a character, and then you pick some certain stat bonuses, like do you want an extra bit of health or an extra bit of magic, that sort of thing. Now the difficult part is that there's up to 4 players on the board, and each player is trying to become king or ruler of the land. And this is difficult already because other players can attack you and kill you and take you out and delay you and all that kind of stuff, and they can cast spells, equip items. It really is quite RPG-ish, but there's many different ways of completing the game. So first of all, you could attack the king and kill him and you take the throne, or the king is actually slowly dying of the disease called the rot, and that sort of sets a time limit on each game, and I find that each game takes about an hour max to sort of finish, but the king is slowly dying, and if the king dies from the rot, the character or the player with the highest reputation or prestige on the board will win, and you get prestige from completing quests and defeating enemies and stuff like that. Then you can also cure the king by collecting spirit stones. And so there's these many different ways of completing the game, and that means each player can go their own path to try and completing the mission. But there is, of course, the time limit. Once the king dies of the rot, the character with the most prestige will win the game. So it's sort of a race, but also the whole strategy aspect of it comes when it comes to when you should attack the king. Because if you attack the king too early, he'll be too strong. But if you attack the king too late, someone else might steal the crown from under your fingers. So you have to really plan where to go, how to do things, what items to equip, and all of that. But it is essentially a board game and somewhat of a card game because you draw cards at the start of every turn. And that means there is quite a heavy bit of a chance element in it. All board games have this chance element because it's got dice rolls, it's got random card draws, it's got random events, stuff like that. But there are some very, very cool features in the game. So for example, at every dawn, so every 2 turns, it goes from a night cycle and a day cycle. So every 2 turns, at dawn, the character with the highest prestige gets to pick one of the new laws of the land. The king will have 2 options to choose from, and the character with the highest prestige gets to pick it. And also the whole concept of the rot, the disease, the rot, you can actually win the game by becoming more corrupted than the king. So that's actually a way to do it. But of course, when you get more corrupted, you get more powerful, but you also take more health damage. It's sort of like getting poisoned with a disease that makes you stronger. So it's got these very, very cool elements. So that all works together very, very well. The game is incredibly refined. Now, that's how the gameplay works. And of course, there is an extensive tutorial which explains everything very nicely. You can get through the tutorial in about an hour. Then there's single player where you play against AI, and then there's the multiplayer aspect. The multiplayer aspect is an amazing way to play because everyone, you can feel that they're trying to make their own decisions. You can sort of chat to each other, but there's no actual chat box, so there's no room for abuse or spamming or anything like that. But someone can do emotes and set them pre-recorded messages based on the character they're playing. So that's playing with anonymous people. That's great because it limits the amount of abuse you're gonna encounter. But if you're playing with friends, I recommend you get on Skype or something and then actually chat with your friends and play with your friends like that. So overall, Armello is looking absolutely amazing. So, is Armello for you? Well, it's a turn-based board game. So if you're into turn-based board games or any kind of analog gaming, then you're gonna love this. Especially if you like games like Hearthstone, because this game is not just on the PC, it's also on one of the consoles and also on mobile, most importantly. So it's one of those games which actually works very, very well on a tablet because it's sort of just tapping and moving it around, and there's not that many hardcore games that will actually work well on tablets, but this is one of them. It's like Hearthstone, really. So if you like analog gaming, you're going to love this. If you like these turn-based sort of RPGs and playing with your friends and playing online with other people and this sort of thing, or even if you just like the look of the game, you will probably love Armello. But right now, the game does feel a little light. Like, there's not that many features. There's only one game mode, but they have promised, the developers have promised, to implement more game modes, more characters, and more features as time goes on, because the game only recently released. So as time goes on, you could keep up to date with the developments and see if it really is worth the time. But it's not that expensive of a game anyway. All right, so that wraps up my review of Armello, and I do have to recommend it. And I'm going to thank our wonderful host here, the Owls Cafe at Bukit Jalil. It's super cute. They've got these little owls here. I love this little stone owl teapot here, and the place is very popular. Full house today, so check it out.
Very, very nice drink. Alas, we're at the end of another episode of Gadget Nation, but of course, you know the drill. Everything is available on our website. Be sure to check it out. We love being online. We love connecting with you online as well. Big shout out to Three Little Birds here in Central for hosting us. I think we'll come back here next week so we can get more in-depth with more gadgets and more news and a whole lot more just for you. My name's Adam Carruthers. Till next time.